Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 120. I am the Angry Raccoon.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
And for once, in a kind of a long time, I'm joined by someone else.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while for you. I remember the last time you were on the podcast, Al, we were talking about the Sonic trailer.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if like every time there's like a questionable, mostly CGI film that people really don't like, Al kind of comes in. It's almost as if like that's your duty. You have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's when the L comes back.
And we do have a lot to say about that particular film we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Because it has been the talk of the town. But yeah, we're finally back. This is the last podcast of July. July has felt very long because of the weather.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's been pretty ridiculous in England because usually we don't have hot weather. And we've actually had hot weather. And it has been ridiculous.
Yeah, especially like this past few couple days. Like it was 32 and then it went to like 35. It's just like, no. We don't even have that in England.
No.
Usually it goes up to 32 and that's it.
Yeah, it's not even supposed to go that hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot of people made very good points where it was like kind of affecting people's like pets, because obviously a lot of pets that live in this country, you know, aren't really built for hot weather most of the time. And at the same time as well, one thing which I learnt about is our houses are not made for this weather, funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting to learn and kind of you know, a little tidbit. But I guess we'll move on to the stuff we've done over the last few weeks or so. Usually I joke with people who haven't been on for a while and I say, what have you been doing for the last couple months?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a bit ridiculous to ask you of that, Al.
Yeah,
even if you had done too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'll ask, what have you been doing over the last few weeks, I guess we'll say. Or July. So
I've been at work. I work full time, so mainly I just pretty much I'm just back and forth going to work, coming home, sleeping, and that's pretty much it in my personal life.
It's the grind.
Yeah, getting my money. That's all I got to say about that. But in terms of like things I've watched, so the last time I went cinemas, I went to go see Godzilla, the King of Monsters. I found the film overall, it was okay. It wasn't the best film in the world. It was fairly decent. I'll give it like a solid 6 out of 10. The action scenes were great, as always.
With like Godzilla in that.
Yeah, with Godzilla and all the other monsters in it. And I'm glad that they brought back King Ghidorah. I'm quite happy about that, as he's like one of the main villains. Or King
Ghidorah, depending on how you want to say his name.
Yeah. And basically, I felt like overall the action scenes were great, but the plot, it was really stupid though. It felt like, just because it was basically like, I'm not saying too much, it felt like the film it was like kind of like, oh yeah, the world is overpopulating with human beings. We have a superior species. Oh yeah, you know, it just wasn't needed. It felt like
we've done that already.
Yeah. That
was like the plot of Aquaman. And many other films that have come out before Godzilla and probably will unfortunately come out again. I mean, isn't that the whole point of Infinity War?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it wasn't executed properly. I just felt like, nah, it's not necessary. I just want to know about the monsters. I don't care about humans.
Yeah, I passed on that film because I can kind of tell it wasn't going to be anything special. I mean, you could say it's prejudice, but like I was like, yeah, America can't do a good Godzilla film. And I know there's always going to be some guy who's going to come in the comments or be like, oh yeah, but the original ones weren't that great, or the effects don't look that great, or oh, well, the films are supposed to have humans in it. Yeah, I get that, but America don't know what they're doing. Because they're not interested in making an accurate, enjoyable film. They're interested in profit.
Exactly.
And Godzilla makes a lot of money in Japan. He doesn't make a lot of money in America. West, So, you know, you do the maths. I'm kind of glad this film hasn't done as well as I guess they wanted it to be. Because next year we got Godzilla vs. King Kong, which everyone is excited for. Can you not tell how excited I am for Godzilla vs. King Kong? I cannot wait. But, their little monster universe is already crumbling. The only positive thing about that film was the guy who made Trick or Treat and Krampus did Godzilla King of Monsters.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully he'll do more good films. Not saying this film is good, but hopefully he'll do films he wants to do.
Yeah.
Anything else you watched over the last few weeks or so?
Yes, during my spare time, I managed to actually start watching JoJo Bizarre. Yeah. So I managed to start watching it. So I watched season 1 part 1, Phantom Blood. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like at first when I first started watching it, I thought, oh yeah, maybe it felt a bit rushed. But actually no, I really, really did enjoy it.
You were like, where are the stands?
Yeah. I didn't think about that too.
That's my favourite thing when new people watch JoJo, because they know about the stands and they start from the beginning like, where's the stands?
Where they at? But I really enjoyed it. Like when I first watched it, because I watched it before, I think I was like in college still, but then I got up to part 2, but then I stopped watching it, so then I had to rewatch it again. So I actually kind of forgot like what happened in the first part. So when I watched it again, I realized like at first when I first watched it, I thought, oh, I really like Dio. He's such a cool character. And then after when I watched it again, I was like, Dio's such a jerk.
Yeah.
Why is he horrible like this? But I understand why, because of his backstory. You know, he lost his mum at a young age. He had an abusive dad. So it's like being nice is, being weak is, or being nice is basically you being weak. So it's like you have to be horrible in a way to get around and whatnot. But all I gotta say is, out of like the first season, I really did like Jonathan. Jonathan's a sweetheart of a character, definitely. Oh, such an honourable man.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they because of the era they portrayed it in. The fact that kind of how men were in those days. I quite like the fact that he was like meant to be like a gentleman, and they have like obviously the guys that were probably evil back then as Dio. I quite like the way they represented the characters in that.
And especially its setting as well, because that's a good thing about JoJo is it doesn't, although it follows, let's say, a family bloodline, it does take place in a different setting pretty much every part, which is great.
Pretty much.
First part is in England, second part, for the most part, is in New York, and then we go to some places without spoiling things, and then we're in Egypt. For part 3, part 4, we're back in Japan, in a made-up fictional town, and then part 5, which is the animation, which I think just finished, we're in Italy.
Oh yeah, basically.
Which is great. Part 5 is fantastic. Just to say that.
Yeah.
I'm glad so many people like JoJo now. And I'm so glad that when you get to part 5 and you see not necessarily where the story goes, but how the animation studio has progressed so much. Yeah. A lot of people give part 4 a bit of flack because the animation looks different and it's maybe not as visually great as some of the other parts, but it's meant to be a weird setting. And it's meant to be literally a little bit morning Saturday cartoon. So it's great. But I'm glad you're catching up on it. Yeah,
and then I managed to. So I finished. I finished season 1, part 1, and then I'm on the second to last episode of part 2 of season 1. So speaking of that part, I mainly like the villains more in part 2.
Oh, that's controversial.
Than the actual good guys in part 2. I really, actually, I must say, I really do like the Pillarmen. They're really cool.
It's a great concept.
Yeah, the concept. I feel like they are villains with meaning to it. It's not like, like in the first part with Dio, it's like, I want to take over the world kind of thing. Whereas like in part 2, they have like a real concept behind them. There's a meaning to it of why they're doing what they're doing. I really, as much as I really used to I liked Dio before, but I prefer Cars.
Oh no.
Yeah, I actually prefer Cars now. I just like his cool-headed demeanor.
I can hear people typing already.
Get
this person off the podcast.
Oh gosh, but I prefer him. I like his cool-headed demeanor. I also like his bone blades. They're really cool. And I like his appearance as well. Like he has when you first see him, he's like got his his head all wrapped up, and then when he takes it off, it's like you just see his long hair all just like blazing in the wind. It's like there's
another character you're gonna like coming up in a few parts then.
Oh, okay.
That kind of has a look and kind of like not necessarily he's like him, but he kind of has, let's say, long flowing hair.
Yeah.
Who's one of the main villains.
Oh, okay.
But they're a great character.
Oh, okay.
But you need to catch up on JoJo.
Yeah, I do.
Because part 3, as I joke, part 3 is everyone's favourite part.
Oh, right, okay.
And like part 3 is so famous that even your mum knows about part 3.
Even your mum knows.
Even your mum got excited when they were remaking part 3. She was like, they're remaking part 3 of JoJo. I remember that back in the 80s. But part 3 is when it gets like serious.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a shame that you haven't actually finished part 2.
Yeah.
Because the way part 2 ends is so good for setting up part 3.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like they set up it like, you're gonna want to start part 3 the moment you see part 2 end.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be like,
I need to definitely get around to watching the 2 last episodes of part 2.
You need to.
Definitely.
So does everyone else.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of a meme for, like, people to be like, oh, you have to watch Jojo, you have to watch it, but it actually is really good. It's not like... I'm trying to think of an example of an anime that... It's not like Sword Art Online, where people are like, you have to watch it, it's good, and it's like... The nicest thing you can say about it is it has nice animation and it's okay.
Yeah. No,
Jojo legit has, like, everything.
Yeah. A good plot. Yep. Great character design.
Fashion.
Yeah, fashion as well, yeah. The fashion.
Poses, you'll learn how to pose from watching Jojo.
Oh my god. Yes.
I'm posing right now. But yeah, I'm glad to hear about that.
Yeah, and that's actually, that's pretty much it on my life updates.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I'm really happy about that. I've only managed to do a few things. The first thing I want to talk about is a TV series I watched, I think that came out in the 90s on HBO, and it's a show called The Corner.
Okay.
Now, this is a show which has a very interesting concept where it essentially follows a group of, or essentially a community that lives in this area in, I can't remember where exactly in America. I'm tempted to say Baltimore, or it might be, I'm not sure, but it takes place somewhere in America. I'm trying to think. I think it might be Baltimore, somewhere like that in America. And it essentially follows a community that's kind of been destroyed through the introduction and the use of drugs. And it essentially follows 3 characters as well as other characters as they're essentially selling drugs, taking drugs, and essentially their life and their struggle. It's an extremely well-acted series because the performances are fantastic. And the performances by the characters, the actors are so good that a lot of the cast are actually in The Wire, because this show actually inspired The Wire, and I guess they were like, no, we have to get that guy for The Wire.
Right, yeah.
So this kind of is a precursor and the inspiration for The Wire. So if you've seen The Wire, definitely watch this. But it's such a tragic and heartbreaking series, because you literally see the pain and you see like the frustration, and you just see people literally just killing themselves and just going to these like upsetting measures to, just provide for their families, just to get drugs. And it can be quite hard to watch. And I'm not even from America. I don't even have any relations to drug abuse, but I can understand if you come from there and you know of that, it would be quite hard to watch. But the performances really sell it, and it really is a very interesting series. It's quite long though. Each episode's about an hour long. And it's about 8 episodes. So make time for it. Yeah. But I think it's an amazing series that is really worth a watch.
The Corner it's called. Yeah.
The Corner, yeah. HBO.
Okay.
The other film I watched, was a film I've been wanting to watch for a while, is In the Mouth of Madness. Okay. This is the John Carpenter film he did, I think, in the early 90s.
Sounds like something from Silent Hill, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, well, you'll like this film because it's very much in the sense of Silent Hill.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Essentially, the basic plot of this film is there is a writer called Sutter Kane, and he's basically a parody of Stephen King. He writes horror novels. He's become so successful that people are almost going mad because they want the next book, and people seem to report that they have like mad delusions and stuff, like nightmares. But Sutter Kane has gone missing before his final book has come out, so they essentially hire I forget his name, but he's like the main actor in Jurassic Park.
Oh right, okay.
The main guy who's like the archaeologist. They essentially hire him, he's kind of like a detective, but he also calls people's bluffs when they're trying to be fraudulent. They basically call him to essentially find Sutter Kane and figure out where he's gone, because the publishers are like, he's like the biggest, like people are literally rioting because they want the next Sutter Kane book. And what happens from there is he essentially figures out where Sutter Kane might be, and he essentially goes to this place called Hobbs End, and things start to get really creepy and crazy, as it seems to be implied that Hobbs End might be the place that takes place in the Sutter Kane books.
Right.
So that's where the whole Silent Hill stuff kind of comes into play, where this is this town that cannot be accessed, but somehow exists in a book. And it's a really nightmarish film. Like, it's really creepy. It's kind of dated in some of the effects, but it definitely has like a very H.P. Lovecraft feel, Silent Hill feel, and definitely kind of like a mind-bending kind of vibe as well, because the film starts kind of at the end, which is kind of weird. You kind of see the main character basically being carried off into a crazy asylum.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, what happened? And he basically tells the story of how he got to this point.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. It gets very dark and it gets very weird. And it's very interesting. One of the most frightening scenes is like a drive. There's like a really horrifying scene where like one of the characters is driving late at night, and then the lights of a headlight, well, she sees like some lights in the distance, and she's like, what the hell was that? And she gets close and it's just a kid on a bike. And she's like, okay, that's a bit weird. Why would a kid be cycling that late at night? And then she keeps going, she's cycling, and then she hits that kid. No, well, she sees that kid, but he's now like an old man.
Okay.
Like ride by, and she's like, what the hell? Then she hits that kid, and he's like lying on the ground still like as this old man, and he's like kind of whispering, he won't let me leave, he won't let me leave. And she's like, oh my god, did we hit him? As she's literally looking down at him, you see that same kid ride by, and it's just like, what happened?
Yeah.
It gets really creepy. It gets a bit silly in the middle part where it doesn't really know what it's doing, but towards the end, it's very interesting how it ends.
Right.
You know, because you're like, you know, where is Sutter Kane? What's going on? What's exactly going on is very interesting. Very Lovecraft-esque.
Yeah.
But it's a really good film. It's one of the films he did for the Apocalypse trilogy, next to The Thing, you know, where the world ends, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Some really effective scenes. But I guess I'll leave it. And the other film I wanted to talk about, which I've been meaning to watch for a while, is Hereditary. This film was like nightmarish.
Yeah.
I understand why people don't like it, because it was marketed as a horror film, and it's not a horror film. Simply put, it's like a psychological horror.
Okay.
And it's creepy as hell. The basic plot of it is just this family just falls apart after the grandma dies.
Okay.
And things just start getting even more creepy because the family is very distant, and you don't really know why they're distant. Obviously, you're like, okay, maybe the grandma passed away and that's affected them, but you kind of start to learn about the grandma and how she kind of treated the family, and you kind of learn what happened, you know, what's been happening. Other than that, their youngest daughter, Charlie, is really weird. She's always like making things, which is very bizarre, and the son is very standoffish. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. Something pretty big happens in the film which flips the film completely upside down, and things just get even crazier. There's some creepy scenes in this film, like some really like it's very, one thing it does so well is it really knows how to do the whole, you know, it's hard to explain, like nightmares or I think I saw something.
Oh right.
There's a lot of that in this film. Like there's one scene in particular in the very beginning of the film where the main character, I forget the actress name, but she makes like miniature houses,
right?
Which is already weird. And she's kind of like finished for the day, and she's like literally turning off the light. And she looks in the corner. She just sees like the grandma just standing there, and it's not like an image. It's like a physical thing, kind of just standing there, because you can see just in the darkness it's kind of moving.
Right.
And there's this horrible build-up music just playing. She switches on the light, nothing there. And naturally she goes to her bed and she's like, yeah, I think I saw... No, it doesn't even matter. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of stuff where it literally makes you go, what?
Yeah.
One scene in particular where a lot of people completely missed it. They didn't see it because it was so hidden in the background. But the ending's a bit weird though.
Okay.
It's supposed to be weird because everything it explains, it wasn't going to be a simple explanation.
Right,
So, yeah, that's a good film. But I think I've talked long enough. Let's move on to things that happened during the fortnight.
Okay.
And the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that... let me get my notes. Rutger... See, I've already forgotten his name.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so... Recently, it was reported that, I guess he's mostly famous for being in Blade Runner as Roy Battery. Batter? I can't even remember his name. Rutger Hauer. I forget how you say his name.
Rutger. Yeah, Rutger Hauer. Oh my gosh, I don't even know his name anymore.
It's going to be in the description because
Yeah.
He's got one of those really awkward names where it's not spelt how it's said.
Yeah, it's got like a silent letter.
So he was essentially in Blade Runner. He was the main villain in Blade Runner, and obviously, for those who've seen Blade Runner, you know his character. He was, he played possibly one of the coolest villains in like films ever, because he's very like thoughtful and very, I don't know. There's like a poetry to like this character. Okay. He's doing bad, but there's a reason why, because he's like an android.
A villain with reason.
A villain with reason, basically. And he unfortunately passed away at age 75 recently, which I think anyone who knows him was pretty upset about. I thought he was a pretty underrated actor, simply because he was really good at essentially playing bad guys, obviously with reason, like you mentioned, as well as he was very good at playing non-human characters a lot of the time. He played, he played, like, obviously the character Roy he plays in Blade Runner, that's an android. He's played a lot of vampires as well. He was also in, like, Batman Begins as well. So he's kind of been around, and I think maybe he's unfortunately just known as the bad guy in Blade Runner. Yeah. But it's a shame to see someone who has played so many iconic roles pass away.
Yeah, like, exactly.
I would say so soon. Have you seen Blade Runner, by the way?
No, I actually haven't.
It's worth watching. It's not as good as people say it is, but it's still a film worth watching, I would say, definitely. So that was sad to hear and find out about, so I wanted to mention that. As well, unfortunately, I think pretty much the whole world was pretty shocked that Kyoto Animation Studio suffered an arson attack on I believe the 18th of July, which was really, it was almost unbelievable to some extent. Yeah. Because given what has happened, because some guy, I'm not even going to bring up this person's name, I'm not going to mention their name because, you know, what you've done doesn't warrant you being mentioned right now. This person essentially went out to essentially burn down this studio, which unfortunately took, I don't know the exact number because information is still coming out. Yeah. It took a good few people's lives as well as burning the studio down, which has put the studio in many people's jobs and lives and families in such a horrible position. And it's a shame because this person has done this out of like spite, jealousy and hate. Mainly because I believe they did apprehend the person who did this. This was an actual attack. This wasn't an accident. This was someone who was out to kill or out for some kind of vengeance. And what bothers me the most is according to this person, my sources may be incorrect, they did this because they thought the studio plagiarized an idea they had for a novel.
Wait, what?
According to what people have said and possibly what he has said, the reason why was because he thought they plagiarized an idea he had for a novel. Which, if that is true, well, regardless of why he did it, that's disgusting that he's gone and done this. Yeah, exactly. But this is crazy because more news is coming out. So unfortunately, I don't really have to say this. It is a story that is updating because as of recently, certain names have been confirmed to have unfortunately passed away. For those of you who don't know why it's a big deal, Kyoto Animation, they've made some of the more famous animes of the last year. Just to name a few, they worked on like Lucky Star, Nichuji.
Lucky Star.
K-On!, as well as like recent series like Miss Kobashi's Dragon Maid. They did Freeing, Violet Evergarden. A Silent Voice. They did the film of that. So they're the people behind some pretty heavy hitters. And
oh my god.
It's a massive shame because I just found out this morning that the director of Lucky Star and Miss Kobashi's Dragon Maid did unfortunately pass away during that attack, as well as one of the I think producers or directors of like Freeing as well. He passed away. So it's really upsetting that this has happened. I just hope that, you know, people can recover. I'm gonna link in the description places where you can download and support the studio if so be, but I think our wishes go out to anyone and everyone who has been affected by this, because at the end of the day, it's not just, it's an anime studio. It's, like I said, it's people's lives, people's families, people's jobs, people's careers. This is industry stuff. This is a big deal, and there was absolutely no reason why they or anyone should ever do anything like this. So I wanted to bring this up because it is a big deal, because it affects the world, because this was an attack, and this is probably one of the biggest, you know, man-made disasters to happen in Japanese history in a long time, which is a massive shame. I don't want you to be down about it in the podcast, but this is important to at least know about. Even if you don't care about animation or anime or whatever, it's worth
something to bring up.
It's something to know about and kind of just, I guess, think about. But let's move on to our news stories and topics for the most part. And I think we will mention most of these trailers are from Comic-Con, because Comic-Con did happen. And the last 2 weeks are pretty big for trailers. There are so many trailers we had to cut a lot. Simply put, I had to cut about 5 trailers out of this podcast because it was pretty big. But Al, I believe you have the first trailer you want to talk about?
Yeah, so, Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot trailer. Basically, yeah, so, where should I start off? I was actually surprised to see these characters return. Haven't seen these since the Clerks films, so Clerk 1 and 2. And I also remember their cameo appearance in the song by Afro Man, Because I Got High, in 2001.
Oh, they're in that video?
Yeah, they're in that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're in it.
I know of the song, but I don't think I probably haven't watched the music video in a long time.
Yeah, you should watch it. Yeah, watch it. They're in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the first few seconds of watching the trailer, actually, at first I thought, oh, this is going to be a serious film. But then I realised after I saw the two characters, I was like, oh my god, that's those two characters. I didn't remember the names, and I was like, hang on a sec. And then I looked at the trailer, I was like, oh, it's those two characters. Oh, yeah, now I remember. And I saw, like, seeing Jay and Silent Bob, I was shocked and everything. And then that specific shot where, like, Jay was standing there with, like, his legs crossed and, like, his genitals tucked behind his leg. It reminds me of that specific scene in Clerks 2 where, like, they're walking past and Jay is doing that exact same pose. So I was like, oh, yeah, they're redoing that pose in this new reboot film. And I also love the scene of the trailer where the guy... I think it was Silent Bob. I think he asks at the Comic-Con, the guy, what do you think of the reboot? And then he says, oh, it effing sucks. Who's directing this shit anyway? Kevin fucking Smith. And it's just like, that's the director of the actual film. So I quite like that they reference the actual director in the film. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I think the film looks fun. The plot seems very interesting with Comic-Con being involved and everything. So I'm quite happy to see this film actually return.
I was interested in this film because I like that it was going to be like a meta commentary on like the film industry's obsession with like remaking films and like how like superhero films are the biggest thing of all time. And I guess it's kind of a remake of Bob and Silent Jay and Bob like Strikes Back, which is like the film in which I guess this film is being remade by Kevin Smith. Yeah. I was kind of disappointed by a lot of like the acting for the most part.
Oh, really?
I don't think it really resonated with me for the most part because unfortunately to me, it doesn't feel like it's going to be like that all smart or anything like that. It kind of just feels like a lame sequel. I mean, the film might be great, I don't know, but the way I saw it, it kind of looked like it was less about making a point and being smart and being clever with its concept and what it means, and it looked like it was just, we're gonna bring these characters back and they're gonna do things. Yeah. Which I thought was a bit disappointing because I thought some of the performances in the trailer, not from everyone, were a bit like weak, a bit lifeless to some extent. I don't know, it kind of, I think I know why, and I think it's because a lot of the people in this film are just like cameo appearances, so they're probably not putting in their all for it, you know. I mean, I think isn't Thor in it? I think it's someone from like the Marvel films is in there at the end or something like that, and he's just like and
I can't even remember.
Someone from a Marvel film appears in it. I can't remember.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that trailer.
You know, and I kind of got like a really bad feeling that it was just going to be like a glorified like cameo fest of like Kevin Smith just going, oh, look at all my Hollywood friends that I got into this film, because I mean, already people going, oh, Val Kilmer's going to be in it, and this guy's going to be in it.
And I saw like Method Man and Redman are in it.
Method Man and Redman, and it's like, okay, it's fine if you want to have like a cameo. Are they going to be doing anything? Is it just Method Man and Redman just standing in the background, or is it just going to be an egregious, hey, I'm Silent Bob. Hey, Method Man and Redman, how are you guys doing? I'm doing good. I like Kevin Smith films. And then they leave. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm sure.
That's my worry. Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful for it, but I was still a little disappointed. I think if you wanted to make this film a big deal, I would have cut that trailer a little differently. And I don't like this whole subplot with the other two girls. I'm just like, whatever. Like, that's not...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I completely forgot that.
I'd rather see... You know, I'd rather see like Jay and Silent Bob going to Hollywood, going to Comic-Con, being stupid, you know, smoking weed. Yeah. You know, oh my god, look, it's Tony Stark and Iron Man. I'm going to make a joke about Endgame. You know, I'd rather see stuff like that, which could very easily still be in the trailer.
Yeah, could be.
But I'm just a little bit disappointed with the trailer.
All right,
I know people tend to get it twisted where if you say you don't like a trailer, that means you hate the film and you think it's going to be bad. No, I'm just disappointed. I hope it's going to be as smart and as meta as I think it wants to be or is trying to be. But here's hoping. I guess I need to catch up on the Kevin Smith films. I've only seen Clerks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, same as me, actually.
Yeah, because Clerks 2 and then Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen those two.
And then
films, yeah.
and then there's an animated series.
Right, yeah.
And I think there's going to be a Mallrats series, or I think they're cancelled. I don't know. Kevin Smith is a very busy man. Kind of.
Okay.
if he can afford to be at Comic-Con, he's not that busy. But yeah, shall we move on to the next trailer?
Yeah, so I'm taking the next one as
Another
well.
Comic-Con-ish trailer. Ugh.
Cats.
Damn
The
it.
film's called. So this film is by the award-winning director Tom Hooper, the creator of the famous play Les Miserables.
Les Miserables.
Yeah, however you pronounce it. And The King's Speech. It is based on the musical of the same name, which is based on the old Possum books of Practicals.
You look confused as you
Yeah,
reading that.
yeah, because you know what it is? In my writing, I was writing when I was tired. So I was just like, my writing's just like...
Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, I was watching the Cats trailer and I thought it looked quite boring, to be fair.
Well, that's... You know what? I'm actually surprised because it's probably the only thing people haven't said about the trailer. That it looks boring. And it does look boring. I think everyone else was going, this looks scary. This is the worst thing ever. Because, I don't know. It's kind of like the Sonic trailer. Where I guess they were like, yeah, people are going to go nuts for this.
Yeah.
And people did go nuts for it.
Yeah.
Not in the right way, though. People... I think people still don't know how to react to this trailer.
Yeah.
Because I think, in my personal opinion, I don't think they got anything right. Simply put. And I got a bit of a confession to make. I love Cats, the musical. And I hate musicals.
Oh, so do I. I hate cats and I don't like musicals.
The musical Cats, or you hate cats?
No, I don't like cats.
Okay, fair enough. And this just looks way too scary to be acceptable for anyone to watch because...
Yeah, the characters do.
It looks like someone had an argument about whether they should be humans dressed as cats or fully cats or humans.
Yeah.
It looks like they had some kind of disagreement or argument, and this was like a weird middle ground where it was like, this is the only way we can make people happy. Because, the CGI does not look great.
Yeah, exactly.
Granted, it could look better by the time the film comes out.
Exactly.
That still does not deteriorate from the fact that people have seen this, and this is their first impression of this, and people are going, I don't like this, this looks awful. It looks really bad, and in my personal opinion, they don't even look like cats.
Yeah, it's like humanoid cat.
I wouldn't even say... To me...
Catoids.
To me, they look like aliens that have cat-like features.
Catoids.
Catoids. I guess you could say that. And the problem... And I know why they're making this film, because I think they've been trying to do it for a while, and they're trying to bank on the success of The Greatest Showman.
Showman. Yeah, I was thinking that actually when I was watching the trailer.
And obviously I know Cats existed before The Greatest Showman. I'm not trying to say it's a rip-off, but they're banking on that success because that film was stupid big. Kids love that film. Just type in the songs from that and you can see how many views that has. I've witnessed children singing the songs. I've witnessed children having The Greatest Showman themed parties.
Wow.
People... or children, I think, more or less, love The Greatest Showman.
Oh, wow.
That is, I think, a fact. It was a very successful film, despite not being the best film ever made.
Yeah.
Why would you not try and capitalize on the fact that people like musicals now? Why not? I think they're going about this the wrong way, because I don't think anyone's going to watch this, because I think it's a bit weird and it's a bit scary, and I don't think anyone knows what they're looking at.
Yeah, the catoids, I'll call them. They did creep me out.
They are creepy because it looks like some weird Photoshop someone's made to creep someone out.
It was that.
Because in my opinion, they should have just made them cats or made them the actors dressed as cats.
Yeah, and just done practical effects,
like
the makeup.
If you gave them a big budget, stick whiskers in their face, give them eyebrows,
you could do that.
You could do that with a budget.
Yeah.
Because just look at the original stage play if you've never seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I'll have to show you a picture of it after.
Yeah.
But the way it looks, it's very 80s. It's very of the time. It's slightly campy. It looks... the cats look like they're dressed as a cat doing a performance in a theatre play.
Okay.
And that kind of goes in with like the point of what Cats is about. It's about, positivity. It's kind of about youth. And I'm not seeing this. It looks like some glamorous rubbish. Honestly, it just looks like sappy crap, to be honest. And I think one of the problems is like the world looks fake, and the scale of the cats is all over the place. Like I can't tell if this is our world or their world,
right?
Because they look too small at some points, and and then the things look as if it's made for them. And I'm like, okay, is this somewhere where they live, or what world is this? Because is this Paris? Like,
I didn't actually notice that actually.
Their tails are too short.
Wow, yeah, I really didn't notice that.
Their tails are not accurate to actual cats,
yeah.
making me think they're not cats. Hence why I made the alien analogy. Some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. Like, why would they have catnip in a bottle? I don't understand that.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even notice that in the trailer.
Is there drugs in this? Is that drugs? Cats 2019 drugs confirmed. There's going to be a drug subplot.
Area 51.
Area 50. Oh my god. Oh no, let's not even go into there.
But there was one thing I actually wanted to mention about this trailer when I was listening to. I'll say about the end when they actually just have the cats at the end. Like I noticed the sound effect. It had like a low, like it just had a slow motion of purring happening. If you noticed at the end, I was like, oh, I quite like that to just kind of give the feeling of the cats.
Because you didn't get that impression from looking at them.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, cats.
Yeah. So I like the fact that actually at the end they kind of included the sound effect of a cat purring in slow motion.
It's probably because the editor went, people don't know what this is.
Yeah, let's just put cats purring.
You could have called it John and people would have had the same reaction. They're going, what is this? And I think one of my issues as well is the cast is all over the place, I think, as well. I'm not saying the cast is bad, but people like Idris Elba and James Corden and Taylor Swift being in this film, and I mean, let's use Taylor Swift and James Corden. Obviously, one is the better singer and has better, singing range, and that's, of course, James Corden. Why would you put those two together when they're obviously going to, clash to some extent? One is, the better singer. Also, it's very distracting that I can see that it's James Corden as opposed to the character he's meant to be playing.
Right, yeah.
Because it's his face there, and the special effects look terrifying. And I think this is one of the cases where they honestly should have put talent before star power, because it's obviously just star power. I mean, yes, the main actress is slightly unknown, and I guess they're and introducing her, which is nice. She's the main character. She's gonna take the. No one gives a shit because everyone's here to see Taylor Swift now. Taylor Swift doing the soundtrack. I want to see Taylor Swift in Cats. So, way to sandbag your own fucking film. Simply put. Because no one gives a shit about anyone else now because Taylor Swift's here. I will kind of end, at least my comments, by saying, here's what I would have done to actually make this salvageable. I would have actually cast younger people. Slightly younger people and unknown actors.
Okay.
And roughly all the same age.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking something along the lines of, let's say, 14 to 18 or 16 to 20. Okay. Something along those lines. So everything is at least the right scale. Okay. You understand this? I understand not everyone in the original musical is that age. I get that. I understand there will be other actors. I would say there are other characters that are presumed to be older. I get that. And I essentially would have had a cast that's more skilled in dancing and singing.
Yeah.
Idris Elba, as great as he is, he's not a singer or a dancer. I know his character probably won't be doing that much, and even if he is, it'll be CGI rubbish. So all of a sudden, Idris Elba will be a good dancer. But I would have got them so they can actually do that kind of stuff, the actual performance of it, as opposed to just stars who have never danced in their life. Was it Judi Dench or whoever the old lady is?
Yeah, Judi Dench.
I'm not being disrespectful to her, but I'm pretty sure she won't be dancing, and I'm pretty sure it won't be Judi Dench herself dancing. She is an older lady. She won't be moving as fast as some other people. So that's going to look even weirder when it's her CGI catoid thing dancing or singing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I of course would have had them be really made up. I would have had them actually have whiskers in their face, actual makeup. Not to actually make them look like a cat, but I would have had them look cat-like. Much like the original play. And I would have had it themed a little bit more about youthfulness, teen, and kind of have it be a little bit more gang style inspired, because there is a little bit of a kind of street gang vibe to it. I would have promoted that a little bit more with a younger audience, because that may be something they can get into.
Yeah.
I mean, Teenagers should be able to relate to cats. That's kind of who it's aimed at for the most part. It's about finding your place, finding that good thing.
Yeah.
All teenagers can relate to that or are striving for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Having a bunch of adults of different abilities playing that is very disconnecting. This is why I don't think children are going to get on board with this film, and I think it's going to be a flop. Plus, it's being released in December. Who is watching Cats when Star Wars comes out 2 weeks later? No one. Well done, guys. I know what film's getting pushed back.
Oh, dear.
Anything else you want to say about Cats before we put it in the ground?
No, that's okay.
Wow, you sounded very defeated there.
Yeah.
Were you low-key looking forward to Cats?
I think I was, you know. I think I was. No, I was looking forward to my last comment, but I'm like, nah, it's alright. I'll give it a pass.
No, say it if you want to, man.
No, you know what? I did think that the trailer was well done, I feel like. But it's just something that I won't personally go and watch.
No, I don't. I honestly don't think a lot of people will.
Yeah.
I think it will make money. It won't make Greatest Showman money.
No, I don't think so.
No, not even with Taylor Swift being in it. Because Taylor Swift is on damage control right now.
Is she? I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, she is. She's got a new album out. She's chatting shit. Yeah, she's on damage control because everyone hated the last album. So that's why she's like trying to get everyone to feature on a new album. Because like, look, you like this music? I got this guy on my album. Please like me again. Please, I'm relevant, right? No, everyone would rather listen to Ariana Grande. You know, an actual nice person. But enough shitting on Taylor Swift. Let's move on to the next trailer, which is going to be Creepshow 2019. This is essentially the pseudo remake, although it's original stories, of the original 80s anthology film series of the same name. Shudder, who is a specific horror streaming service, which is amazing that I even get to say that there is a streaming service specifically for horror. I think that's pretty cool. And we finally have a trailer for this pseudo remake, and I think it's a mixed bag for the most part. The best part about it is like the practical effects and the creature designs I thought were really cool.
Yeah.
That weird tree thing looks really cool, and that weird alien thing with the red eyes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That looked like cool because that was actually a real thing. It wasn't just CGI.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I want to watch it just for that.
Huh.
But at the same time, I'm kind of annoyed, and it might be the trailer's fault. There's a lot of like cheap modern day jump scares. There's a lot of, like,
I thought that actually.
people opening their eyes and you know, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's really unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. We don't need to be doing that for the most part. And I mean, although a lot of the dialogue is intentionally like campy and cheesy, and I get that they're like trying to go for that like horror vibe.
Yeah.
Some of the acting and some of the writing is still really bad.
Okay.
It's really hard to make bad. It's really hard to write good bad dialogue. Or as I say, it's really hard to make believable bad like dialogue. That's one of the hardest things to ever do, to make something intentionally bad but still be good.
Right.
It takes a lot of craft, and a lot of the lines were just like, oh god, you know. I mean, yeah, like I said, just because it's campy doesn't make it good, because not everyone's looking for that. Someone actually might legit want to watch this series to be scared or look at the practical effects. And when you got someone who has specifically been told, yeah, don't try because it's meant to be campy and cheap, it doesn't help. You know.
Wait, what do you mean by like campy exactly?
In that it's let me try and think of a good example. Campy in that it's kind of the era of the time. Like like it's trying to go for that whole, let's say, 80s or 60s aesthetic where in horror films the acting wasn't great, the special effects wasn't great, you know, you had bad dialogue. It kind of had a certain like tongue-in-cheek to it where it was like, oh, it's a we're being chased by a killer duck, you know, but we're taking it seriously, or we're not taking, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's self-aware to kind of pull it off a lot of the time. Right. Because it looks like we're going to either have episodes where it's like, oh my god, I'm running away from this very real threat that's trying to kill me, or oh, there's a head on my bed, oh, and it keeps jump scaring me. It kind of looks like we're going to flip-flop between like talent and just laziness, which I'm not too happy about. But I'm looking forward to it, honestly. I'm a big fan of anthologies. I'm a big fan of practical effects, as you can tell by my hatred of cats. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's good, because we're seeing a nice renaissance of horror. We had Twilight Zone come back. Jordan Peele did that. which had mixed opinions, but hopefully this might be better. I don't know. Horror's making its way back. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
One part of the trailer I did notice is I did like a certain section where like I think it was like the blonde woman, she was like chuckling, but it was like she was chuckling to the rhythm of the theme that was playing in it. Kept repeating. I quite liked that effect on the trailer, but that was the only thing that I picked up that I took interest in.
Whether it would be implemented into the actual episode, I don't know.
Think so. I don't think so.
It might have just been the editing guy going, "Oh, that's really cool."
Yeah.
Whenever it gets people
shout
to watch
out to the editor.
Yeah, shout out to the editor, man. Especially the editor of Cats, you know, for saving the film by adding that purring so everyone knew it was a cat.
Yes. Yeah, shout out to those editors.
Editors, you can do a lot with editing. Anything else you want to say about Creepshow?
No, that's it.
Okay,
that's it for me.
Let's move on to the next trailer, which I'm actually surprised at even doing this. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so I'll introduce it. So basically, so we're going to talk about His Dark Materials.
Named after my anime collection.
Basically, so hang on, I'm just trying to figure out. So I wrote these notes when I was so tired. I'm just like looking at them,
trying to decipher them.
Yeah, trying to decipher.
It's everything. Like the compass in the trailer. You're like, oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when I first watched the trailer, it reminded me of the Golden Compass. So basically, where there's the particular scene where the girl was getting hurt, and when the woman was like attacking the animal, and she was getting hurt or something like that.
Or the Dæmon.
Yeah, the demon. Yeah, the demon, whatever you want to call it.
It's like, that's not a demon, that's a ferret.
yeah, all that. And then when I before I like realized that I didn't even know that actually the Golden Compass was actually like the film adaptation of this novel. Yeah. So I was just like basically. Yeah, everything's like opposite. So I thought it was based off the Golden Compass, but actually the Golden Compass was based off the novel of this film.
You were watching the trailer going, this is a rip-off of the Golden Compass. You were about to type that on YouTube, weren't you?
No. I'm not about that life.
This is a rip-off of the Golden Compass.
Actually, yes, that's the opposite. Also, as well, like, I just only have like literally one more comment to say, which was the scene like where they were saying like the children were going up north and missing. I was like, what the heck is this going on about? Before I even clocked about the Golden Compass thing, it really reminded me. I was like, oh no, it's like, is this got like the Pied Piper involved with this and all that? I was just like, what's going on here? But yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then after the whole like Golden Compass thing came through, and I was like, oh, okay, right.
Once you saw the polar bear, you're like, Golden Compass!
Yeah, and when the girl got attacked and she felt the pain from the demon or whatever, I was just like, oh right, okay. But yeah, that's all my notes from that.
You got there in the end.
I got there in
the end. We all did. I was watching this and I was like, I think I was kind of like, is this the Golden Compass? Because because I've seen the film. Yeah. And I was like, this looks like the film. That film bombed, unfortunately, which is why we now have a TV series of it. They kind of tried or wanted it to be like the next Harry Potter because it's based on a couple books.
Right.
And also because HBO's doing this, I think this is like, we're done with Game of Thrones. This is going to be the next big thing.
Right.
Westworld is... No one wants Westworld anymore. This is going to be the big thing. Because, for those of you who don't know, Westworld Season 2 was rubbish. And then Season 3, everyone was like, no, thank you. But yeah, this is like... HBO's kind of fingers crossed. Like, hopefully this is as big as Game of Thrones. If people can accept the craziness in Game of Thrones, they can accept a polar bear that talks. So...
Oh, no.
We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
But watching this trailer, I was kind of bored. It was a bit too long. I think what was funny, they tried way too hard to make this the most epic thing ever.
Yeah,
when it really wasn't. Like, this is the first book. The crazy stuff happens later on.
Right.
Like, when she's riding on that polar bear in the North Pole, that's some crazy stuff right there. But this other stuff, I was just like, no, it's just a bunch of people talking. And a girl running unconvincingly. Which is my other point. The girl actress, I found her very unconvincing a lot of the time. No. Like, her running, what was that?
I didn't even pick up on that.
No, go back. No, seriously,
I need to rewatch
watch the trailer because that is the most unconvincing someone is about to kill me, I need to run I've ever seen.
Okay.
And even when she was getting, like, choked out, I was like... No one goes, oh no, you're hurting me. I would be screaming if someone was choking me. I mean, if I could. But like, I was like, no, you don't act like that. I'm like, is people already experimented on this child or something? Why is she so non-childlike? I found, a lot of her dialogue and stuff was very unconvincing. She's like, oh, it's leading me to people who are going to hurt me. I was like, kind of read was that? What's going on here? It's like, I didn't like her acting in it. I thought, I'm kind of hopeful this series is good, because I would like to see them actually do some of the stuff that happens later on in the books. Because these stories kind of came out after the first book of Game of Thrones. That's why they've kind of jumped on this, because it's we're going for this era of stuff. So they want the next Game of Thrones, basically.
Okay.
And I think they're being smart because the books are finished.
Right.
Unlike Game of Thrones, where they weren't.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't need to go into why and why not that and all that.
Yeah,
we don't need to go into that, because everyone on YouTube has already made their hour-long videos about it.
Yeah, you can just watch them.
But that's kind of what they're banking on. I kind of hope they're successful, because it is interesting, and I think it's very interesting that it's a HBO and BBC like co-production, which I think is interesting because we're essentially gonna have a HBO produced and BBC show on the HBO platform as well as the BBC in England, which is
good.
A pretty big deal, because that's gonna, not to say the BBC doesn't have high budget, high class like epic shows like that, but that's gonna be a big deal to see if actually the audience of BBC in England actually get on board with that. Could this series actually rival Doctor Who? That'd be interesting to see. Will children be able to watch this? I don't think so, if little children are getting choked out and experimented on, but I'm pretty sure some people can go, there's demons in this? No, my child, it's just a ferret. Or a snake, or whatever the woman has.
Oh yeah, she had a snake.
She has a snake, which is like, what's a snake gonna do against a polar bear?
Venom.
Oh right, enough. That wouldn't affect the polar bear.
It'll go through its bloodstream in 2 seconds.
No, the polar bear would like pass out and then wake up like 20 minutes later.
It might get to the heart.
No, it wouldn't. Polar bear would be like, what is this? I'm one of the most dangerous animals on the earth. No.
Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, I am interested to see what this series is about. I'm interested to see the hour-long videos of people saying it's not as good as Game of Thrones. That's what I'm interested to see. Because you just know people are going to say that. It's not as good as Game of Thrones. It's probably because it's not Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think you'll have those.
Probably because it was written by someone else. But yeah, if people can accept a talking raccoon and a talking tree in Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm pretty sure people can get on board with this. And I'm looking forward to it. I probably won't watch it, but I'm looking forward to it for the most part. Next trailer, we can talk about staying with fantasy. This is like the fantasy block of the podcast now.
Oh, yeah.
We have The Witcher. Based on the successful books and somewhat successful games, depending on who you talk to. We have The Witcher, which is going to be a Netflix TV series. And Netflix were hyping the hell out of this show. Henry Cavill's going to be The Witcher. And I was like, oh, the really bad actor in Superman? Great. He's my favourite Superman. No, to be fair, Henry Cavill is a right actor. I think he's a nice guy. He just got a bad deal. That's why he's not Superman anymore.
Right, okay.
I don't blame him. But yeah, they were hyping the hell out of this trailer. And I watched this trailer and I was like, is Henry Cavill even in this TV series? Because they downplayed his character big time in that trailer. And I kind of get why. I understand it's not just about The Witcher. It's about the world in which The Witcher's in. I understand that the novels and the games that revolved around certain people and certain things and politics and nations and countries, kind of coming together and discussing things. I get that. But at the same time, why would you not promote the main star of your TV series a little bit more? You see him for like maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah. And
his wig looks busted. It's not convincing. You're not trying to fool anyone with those muscles, my friend. I'm sorry. Because no one has muscles like... If you have muscles like that, you need to see a doctor. Because you're obviously having muscle problems. And his whole arm going to go into my demon mode looked really bad as well when his eyes started glowing. And I was like, how did you mess that up? You need to look at the game to know what that looks like. But no, it's popular. I didn't like this trailer at all, simply put. I feel like absolute garbage, simply put. I was like, really? You're like, this is why I don't have Netflix, because I don't want to fund rubbish like that. Like, that's the real reason why I don't have Netflix, guys, is because I don't want to give bad ideas money. And this looks like absolute trash. Like, I don't know who blackmailed who, but this was a bad decision, simply put. And this is going to be bad, and I know all the fans are going to say, no, it's actually really good because it's accurate to the books. And I'm going to say, who gives a damn? Henry Cavill is unconvincing. Anything you want to say about this trailer? trailer, Hauer?
I have little to say about it. I actually.
Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah. Well, when I first watched the first couple of seconds, I literally thought like this is like a bootleg Game of Thrones. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie.
They're probably going for that market.
Yeah, like the whoever the main character is, like he really reminded me of Viserys, who's Daenerys' brother. Who ever watches Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Talking about. But yeah, I was like, what's Viserys doing? What is he here?
Spin-off?
Yeah, what's going on?
Game of Thrones spin-off.
Yeah.
The Caesarean stories.
So that's all I have really to say about this trailer.
The plot was very generic as well. I mean,
I didn't even care. I didn't even care. That's all.
Well, on that note, let's
just move on to the next
one. Let's just move on to the next trailer, which actually looks like something. And I believe you're going to talk about this one, or was I going to? Zombieland 2, which is bizarrely.
I thought it was Sound and Fury.
No, it's Zombieland.
Oh, all right.
That's where I put it.
Because
this trailer literally came out like just as we were about to start recording, essentially.
Okay.
Zombieland Double Tap. That's a really weird tag name. I don't know. Obviously, that probably has something to do with the film, but it's a bit double tap. Like, hopefully that gets explained.
Maybe because it's a sequel. Maybe. I
don't know. That's a weird name.
It is weird.
But name aside, it's good to see the original crew back.
Yeah.
Because they've been talking about Zombieland 2 for so long.
Oh, for real?
Because, they have been. They've been talking about doing it for a good while. And it wasn't that anything was, like, really stopping them or anything. Right. It was more the case of, I don't know, they didn't want to do it. They wanted to do, like, a TV series first.
Yeah.
And people were like, do a TV series. That makes perfect sense. Following other characters in a zombie apocalypse world. That kind of fell through because I think Amazon or someone tried to pick it up. And I think people saw the pilot and they were like, no, this is rubbish.
Fair enough, yeah.
So then I think they were like, no, let's just do a second one. And I guess they've kind of been keeping this hush-hush for the most part. Because I was not aware it was coming out this year. I knew about it. I didn't know it was coming this year.
Mm.
And I'm hopeful for it, honestly.
Okay.
I think it looks okay.
Yeah, it does look like,
Whether it'll be as good as the first, I don't know. But it looks promising. For a sequel, it looks promising.
Yeah.
The only things I'm not liking is those two new characters they showcase.
Oh, the blonde girl.
Yeah.
And the hippie, right?
Yeah, they're too much of a character, I think.
Yeah, the stereotype.
They're way too much of a stereotype because the blonde girl is like, she's so dumb and she's falling over everything.
Yeah, it's like, you don't
and I can't tell if the other girl is being like sarcastic or she's like, oh, I really like her, and I'm like, obviously we don't know the exact content. I don't know, does she really like her or like, I don't know. It's weird. And the other hippie guy, he's like, I got the weed, and I'm like, okay, because all hippies smoke weed.
Yeah.
But I like that it's definitely going to be traveling a lot more.
Yeah.
They're in the White House literally. I like that that's going to be their base. I guess where the sister goes, looks like some party cut off plate. That looks great. It looks like kind of like a parody take on the place that was in The Walking Dead to some extent. I don't know if it's going to be like this, but I like the idea of just a bunch of teenagers and stoners just being like, we closed off this place and zombies, let's party. That's a hilarious concept, I think. They got a monster truck, and also they're doing the whole thing where, that's why it's called Double Tap, because they got the doubles. At the very end of the trailer, there was the two, you remember at the very end of the trailer, there was like the guy who looks exactly like the other guy.
I can't remember,
No, because at the trailer, the main guy, he's like, they're literally saying exactly the same things at the same time.
Oh, right.
And they're both like, hold on, have we met this guy before? He seems familiar. And then another guy walks up and looks exactly like him. So I'm guessing that's why it's called Double Tap, because I'm guessing there's obviously going to be a counterpart for the other two girls as well.
Right, yeah.
Somewhere.
That makes sense.
And I'm guessing maybe they're going to team up and they're going to be like, we make a really good team or something like that.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's called Double Tap, literally seeing double, which I guess is kind of also like a reference to like Shaun of the Dead as well.
Yeah, actually.
Because they had that scene where it's literally, that whole scene where they bump into the other party, it's meant to be what if another film was, or another story was happening at the same place, or the same time, which is a, great scene. So I'm guessing they're kind of maybe doing more with that, which I think is a really cool idea, honestly. Because if you wanted to, you could give those characters the TV series.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could, if you wanted to, because who wouldn't want to watch them to some extent?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this film, honestly. You've seen the original Zombieland?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So good.
It is.
like, it catches you off guard.
Yeah.
How good it, because you're like, Zombieland, you know. It's just kind of like at the point where everyone was like starting to get sick of zombies.
Yeah.
But then you watch Zombieland, and you're like, no, I like zombies now.
Yeah, it makes the genre good again.
It makes the genre because I like the whole like rule system in it, and I like how it's like this weird unofficial world order to it as well.
Yeah.
And like how everyone is so nonchalant about it. Like,
yeah,
the world ended.
Yeah, everyone's just so cool-headed about it.
Like, and it's literally, I think it honestly does what The Walking Dead can't quite do in the TV series, where it really does make the main characters and make the zombies the secondary characters. Like, there's hardly a zombie in this trailer. You know
it's actually true.
The most we see of a zombie is a zombie like fall and get like cut up, and it's like, it's not about the zombies, it's about the characters living in the zombie world. So I'm looking forward to this series big time. It's like the best trailer I've watched.
Right.
Oh yeah. No, not really. Let's move on to the next trailer, which is a very brief one. This is like, these trailers are so almost undescribable that we only can really mention them.
Yeah.
But they're worth mentioning. And we're going to talk about Sound and Fury, which is another animated anthology series coming out this year, which is more Japanese based. And the interesting thing about this one is that it kind of has a American music producer doing all the music for it. Yeah. So I think the idea is he is essentially composing music over animation, or they're making animation over his music.
Yeah.
So we're going to have like that kind of connection of literally fury and sound, or sound and fury.
Yeah. Which
I think is an interesting concept, because although the trailer's a minute long, it looks mad. It looks pretty crazy and off the walls. Hopefully it'll be better than Love, Death and Robots, because that was terrible. I don't care what you say. That was bad.
Was that another animation? Or?
It was an animated anthology series where the simple premise was each short is going to either be about love, death, or robots. So, you know, you could have, you know, it be about horror or science fiction or something like that. The amount of people who basically decided they wanted to make a generic CGI looking animation is ridiculous. You basically were given a brief of do any animation, and you'd be surprised how many animations look the same and have the same fucking story.
Oh, God.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get given creative freedom and then go, you know what? I'm going to do what everyone else is doing. Yeah. There's good stuff in Love, Death and Robots, but overall it's not that great. Hopefully this one will be better. Or you can just go and watch The Shivering Truth, which is like the most disturbing animated anthology ever.
Yeah. That
show is creepy. I'm looking forward to this trailer.
The show?
This series. I wanted to mention this one and the last trailer, which... Do you have anything to say about Sight and Sound? Sorry.
I just felt like the trailer went really, really, really quick.
It's like 59 seconds long.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, what happened?
Maybe the whole series will be like that.
Yeah.
Where you go, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched all 28 episodes of Sound and Fury.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. But that's it, yeah. That's what
okay.
Really
last trailer we have to talk about is Monos. A trailer or a film that no one knows what the hell was going on in this film. Not even I. I didn't even look this up. I don't think you looked it up.
No.
No one knows what's going on in this film. But it looks interesting as hell. Because I want to know what the hell is going on there. Because at first it starts off and you see like a bunch of teenagers and they're like, yeah, we're camping and all that. And they start putting like face paint on and they're carrying like AK-47s and they're shooting at helicopters.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I don't know. They tried to compare it to Apocalypse Now, which looks nothing like Apocalypse Now. I don't even think the person who said that has seen Apocalypse Now. But I don't know what to say about this trailer other than I want to watch it now. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what is driving these teenagers to put body paint on and shoot AKs in the air. Because if that ain't an interesting concept, I don't know what is. Because that's a film going places, honestly. Any thoughts? Any theories on this trailer, Al?
No comment.
No comment. That's understandable. That's most people's opinions on this trailer. I'm going to try and see this film just to see what is going on. Because, boy. But yeah, there's a I love it. I just wanted to mention this trailer because this is how you do a trailer to some extent. where you essentially interest people by saying nothing. What does monos even mean? No one knows. What's going on? No one knows. Why are teenagers screaming? I don't know.
Yeah.
But you want to watch it now. You can't lie to me and say, oh, you don't want to watch that film. You're telling me if I didn't put that film on right now, you wouldn't at least watch it, or at least attempt to watch it or whatever, because it's that interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the podcast for the most part. Kind of been a Comic-Con special, you could say.
Yeah, in a way, ish.
Although most of the Comic-Con stuff that came out was kind of trash to some extent. But then again, I'm not gonna pay like £100 to go to San Diego just to see trailers.
Yeah. No point.
Or Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars, so I'm saving money. We'll end this podcast. So we have the video of the episode, which is weirdly titled. I guess it's technically brackets 00 brackets, and that is essentially, it's going to be a short animated film by Serio O. I can't remember his actual real name, but that's the name he goes by. And I've seen a couple of his animations before. And this animation, I don't know why it's called. I guess it's meant to be nostrils, given what the animation is actually about. And it's essentially depicting different ways in which people sneeze. Essentially, in very crazy and hyper-real ways. And it definitely gets very wild. I don't want to spoil it too much, obviously, because what would be the point of watching it then?
Yeah.
But I thought this animation was pretty damn cool. So definitely watch that, and it's something different. It's not just a music video.
Yeah.
Because there haven't been a lot of good music videos of recently. Before we wrap up this podcast, is there anything you want to add before we finish?
No, not really, no.
No? Fair enough. It's been quite a long one. I haven't done a long podcast in a while, but we had a lot to talk about. Al, I want to thank you for being on this podcast.
No problem.
I don't know if I would have been able to manage doing such a long podcast.
There's a lot of trailers.
There's a lot of trailers, and
stories.
even if I only had one sentence to say about each thing, it still would have been a long podcast, and it still would have been so taxing.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. I guess I'll end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Angry Raccoon.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
And we will see you on the next podcast.